Okay. Good evening. I'm Anna. I'm the Artist and Community Services Manager at the Indiana Arts Commission. Here with me,
Maurice Broadus, writer and other stuff. I just blanked out on what all I do. I do stuff, writer and bon vivant. Man about town.
Man about town.
And our honored guest, the inimitable. You want to say hey?
Hey, everyone. You can see me, but I can't see you.
This is Diop. We're going to get to know Diop really well later tonight. So we're going to give you a chance to get to know each other here for a moment. So I'm about to put you in breakout rooms. And in your breakout room, just get to know each other a little bit better so that you're not totally just watching us in this session, but you meet some other folks as well. Was that like a fun commercial break that just happened there? Welcome back. This is ReGroup. Do you know where you are? So ReGroup, this happens every other Tuesday. Starting now, it will start every other Tuesday. We did it 2 Tuesdays in a row. We're going to skip election night. I know some of us need that time together on election night. Some of us need time alone on election night. So whatever you need, you do that. We're going to skip election night. We'll be back on November 10th. But welcome. ReGroup is a virtual community of creatives trying to figure out life and work beyond COVID. So wanted to let you know that we do have closed captioning available. If you don't already see it at the bottom of your screen, you can turn on closed captioning down near the bottom of your Zoom menu items. Let me know if you're having trouble turning that on. So this is being recorded. The breakout rooms are not recorded, but our time together here is. And you can find this recording and all the other resources we reference at, hang on, I will show you the webpage. Indiana Arts Commission webpage at in.gov/arts/artist. Here, I'll show you how to find it really quick. If you're at in.gov/arts, boom, artist services. Click here to regroup. And here's information about what's coming up on regroup, as well as anything that we've already talked about will be posted at the bottom here. So if you missed last week, Maurice and I talked about longevity. What it means to think really long-term with your future, even though it's hard to think about the future right now. So here's a recording, as well as anything, some things that Maurice mentioned, referenced last week, linked here. And as you remember, we have some homework at the end of these sessions. And that's really what you want it to be. That's whatever you want to make it. The homework is designed for you to take these kind of like maybe bigger ideas and make them true for yourself as you want to. That's what the homework is. Nobody's going to check up on you. But we do post the homework both here and also in the Indiana Creatives Facebook group. If you're not part of this group yet, I'll put the link in the chat. Go ahead and follow or join the group. Maurice and I both are monitoring this page. And as you're kind of working through any homework stuff this week, as you have thoughts or questions, feel free to throw it in the comments of that post or this whole Facebook group. You can tag one of us or tag other people who you've met tonight. That's what this experience is for you and the rest of your creative community to process through some of this stuff together. But I'm just going to tell you, the thing that people feel like is most important to them tonight is the idea that we're staying curious and we're going to stay genuine, that we're not afraid to be wrong, we are open to learning new things and hearing things that are different than what we already believe. So thank you for sharing that. Appreciate your vulnerability there. That was totally anonymous results, but appreciate you. Now, get ready. Oh, I should also tell you, I forgot at the beginning of this though. So Diop has some amazing music. Some of his lyrics aren't suitable for kids. So if that is something that you're in the room with your family right now, we're going to share some music from Diop, and that might be a good time, maybe if you want to mute, or if you want to come back tomorrow, we'll have the recording will be censored, so you can listen to that freely without worrying about it. So it's my honor to share with you a music video from Diop tonight. First, I'm going to share you his song, Still Fine. You can find it on YouTube as well.
Living life without a mask, no mirage, no facade. This is who I am, to the core. Wear my feelings on my face my feelings every day. I'm just hunting with my pack, strategize and make a way. I came up with many who didn't make it past 25. I'm still alive at dirty 30. I strive to ball like Clyde and James Worthy. Mix the grind with the grind. I've been worthy. Nothing's what it seems. Life's ripping at the seams. Crushing people's hope, got them aborting their dreams. Plan B becomes A for most. They brag and boast, yelling out there, but you didn't follow your dreams. That's a disease. Keep going and flowing like you the seed. Living life on your terms and you will see. If you want it, it's there. Just make it be. I'm just giving game, baby. Think I love 100 ladies, but I ain't ready for babies. And maybe I might be crazy, so lately I'm by myself. Solo, dolo, it's how I ride. You never know though. So though, you might just find a fine loco, Coco by my side. You never know though. So though, I'll be fine. Yeah, I'll be fine. When I lost my mind, yeah, I was still fine. Yeah. When I lost my shine, yeah, I was still fine. Yeah. When I lost my mind, yeah, I was still fine. Yeah. When I lost my shine, yeah, I was still fine. Yeah. Playing rhythm roulette with Man Dog and Willis. Keep my mind occupied, cause depression is a killer. We lost my ex-girl and her daughter. Oh father, why bother? Twisting up another blunt may just make it harder. Music's how I cope, it's how I keep on going farther. Leaning on my people, especially my father. Shed tears this summer, lost peers this summer, many beers this summer. Drink it away, Lord, take it away, or take me away. I'm just talking, believe me, I got some reasons to stay. God, people who need me in love, optimism, my motive. You hear it when you press play. All about empowerment as a steady grow great. Like the hairs in my pops flow wild and free. I admire him most, that's the child in me. My motto for how to move, we rewriting the rules. Eyes wide, ears open, everything is a school. Learn where you are from what's around you now. That's the key to be free. If you want it, you got it. That's the key to be free. Learn where you are from what's around you now. That's the key to be free. That's the key to be free. If you want it, you got it. That's the key to be free. When I lost my mind, yeah, I was still fine. Yeah. When I lost my shine, yeah, I was still fine. Yeah. When I lost my mind, yeah, I was still fine. Yeah. When I lost my shine, yeah, I was still fine. Yeah.
I should probably introduce this dude.
Yeah, let's learn more about
All right, so it's my pleasure to introduce someone who I've had the pleasure of working alongside at both at the Kepler Institute and Cafe Creative. Let's see, one of the premier hip hop artists in the city. heck, not just premier hip hop artist working in the city, even a nationally renowned hip hop artist, international traveler, philosopher, intellectual. I give you all Diop.
Thank you for that illustrious grant. Appreciate it.
That's what I'm here for. So actually, let me start off. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your involvement with the Kepler Institute? Why don't we just start there?
Got you. So basically raised in the Kepler Institute, been a part of it since its inception, 2003. My parents, my godmother, they wanted to make sure that they could create, an environment that would help me grow, would help Miss Paula's grandson, who's my childhood friend, grow, and Ijaz, another childhood friend, just grow in a healthy environment, but also equip us with skills to be, the best that we can be as young African-American men in this world and the worlds to come. And, it's just grown over time. So I've been a part of that, still a part of that. And philosophically, it kind of like, anchors me in my vantage point.
Okay. I know we touched on this a little bit last week, but can you tell us a little bit about Cafe Creative, what it's about, how important I am to its formation, and just a little bit about its mission?
Maurice is the heartbeat of Cafe. Without Maurice, we have no Cafe Creative. But no, for real, basically, Cafe Creative is, I guess I would say, is the formal, it's the tangible representation of trying to address a need we find ourselves having in Indianapolis, which is more platforms, more spaces for artists to control their own art and their own, desired future state. So it's artists that have come together to manifest that vision and support each other through that process and provide that experience to artists throughout the city.
I think there's a lot of values that undergird what Cafe Creative is about that is probably going to reverberate through this conversation, actually, because I think a lot of those values are part and parcel of who you are as an artist also when it comes to how to build community, how to do, and what community wealth and leveraging opportunities for each other is going to look like. But let's back up and start a bit about your journey as an artist. I mean, looking back on your career, you've put out a lot of projects, but can you tell us a little bit about your journey strictly just as an artist, from how you began to, where we find ourselves now? And if you, I'll just begin here. I know you're a humble dude. And so if at some point I've decided you're being too humble, I will blow you up. So
Okay.
Tell your story.
I've always been, a creative person. I like to create. If I can't create, then I don't want to exist. So that's just in my DNA. But I'll say in terms of dabbling with particular mediums or, formal art, I think when I was young, I had the idea that I wanted to be a comedian. So, because I just like laughter. I like to make people laugh, like to have a good time. So I auditioned for the theater magnet at Shortridge. And my goal was to learn theater, learn acting, and somehow use that to pour into comedy. So some of the friends that I met in Shortridge and Broadway's theater magnet were big into hip hop, rapping and producing. And in the lunchroom, our freshman year at Broadway, they would go in and they would just practice rapping against each other or just rapping, rapping things they had wrote, rapping things that, came off the top of their head. And I just liked the environment, the world that he created in that lunchroom. It was like it was in its own universe. And I've always felt that I had, a very good way with words. So I wanted to give, my shot at it. And I also had already been listening to rap music. My father bought me my first rap album, which was Jay-Z's Volume 1, I believe, whichever Hard Knock Life is on. And Jay-Z is just a different type of artist, a different type of being. So with me starting there, and then I stumbled onto Outkast, which is a totally different vibration, but just as much of an extreme experience, an extreme light being. And then I stumbled on Tupac and I stumbled on Nas. And that kind of really shaped my palette for, what I liked to consume. But it also shaped the bar of which I thought the craft should be practiced at. Mm-hmm. So I just started, rapping in high school, and I was horrible. I was trash. I was very bad. But I think my friends were very good, and I felt that if I put time in, I could improve. So I just worked at it, and I did improve. I got better over the years. We put out mixtapes. We sold them in high school. We did talent shows. We battle rap in competitions after school. So I just did a lot of things in the culture in high school to help me stay engaged and grow. And then I started to teach myself how to record my own music. I was using a program called Cool Edit Pro, which doesn't exist now. And then I bought an 8-track multi-track recorder. And I just started recording myself and reading books on how to mix and master. I didn't really get good, but I got good enough to bootstrap my way through, which is something I've known just coming from where I come from, how to use what you have to create what you need and keep it going. And then in in college, when I went to IU, I took that 8-track multi-track recorder with me, and I would record different people for hire. So I would run a little, studio out of my dorm room, while at the same time working on my own music. And for a time period, I didn't put music out because I had this vision of what I felt was a good product, and I just didn't meet that internal bar. Mm-hmm. So I spent a lot of time just sharpening my approach, sharpening my saw, till I got to a place where I felt the skill set was at a place where it could at least compete, or I could feel comfortable putting it out publicly and know that some people really would gravitate towards it. So that was kind of college. And then I returned home and I said, you know what? I want to go into the environment of Indianapolis and see what exists in the community. Because for a long period of time, I felt like the type of art I made, I couldn't find peers, artistic peers. So it was, felt kind of lonely. So at one point in time, me and one of my childhood friends, we created a digital record label called TPOF Digital. And at the time, Kepler was running a community school. So I would teach the kids in the school how to record themselves, how to write raps. At the same time, I was building an online platform to push out my art, push out some of my friends' art. And it didn't work out for a variety of reasons. I think the main reason was I wasn't in the right environment with the right people yet. And I wasn't the right person for that vision at that time. But when I met Man Dog at a show that I performed at, and I think it was like in 2010, 2011, around there, I think the number one thing was we spiritually vibrated well with each other. A lot of the way we view the world, our flexibility in thought, the way we feel people should be treated. I think that was clear just through our communication. And I didn't know how to rap on his beats. I knew he could produce. The sound was there, but as an artist, I just couldn't approach it. So just like when I first started and I was garbage, it was like another stretch goal. So me and him spent a year and a half in his basement, meeting every Thursday with other artists. And we just made a routine, a ritual, a habit to build and manifest the best art we could manifest together, trying to get ourselves in tune as much as we could. And that relationship has grown over the years. We've put out a number of different projects. We've been able to access radio plays, interviews, licensed music on Netflix, travel and do shows, perform in small venues to large venues, be paid small to nice amounts for performances. And we grew as performers together. He's also my DJ. And that's another learning curve because, you know, the studio is one piece, but then transferring energy or creating a vibe physically is another piece. And you have to practice at it. You have to study at it. And it helps when you have a creative partner to do that. And then he introduced me to Willis, who mixes and masters a lot of my music. And we just really start to identify people that we could all play to our strengths and create great art and push each other to grow. And we still do that to this day. And then I started to become a producer as well. And I mean, a producer actually making the beats that I vocally perform on. And I learned that from Mad Dog and Willis. And they helped me grow as a producer. And in some ways, they've said I've helped them grow as producers. And I guess, I guess that's the formal approach to my art. But I feel like I'm an artist in a lot of different ways. It just is most tangible through hip hop music.
Yeah. You said you licensed music to Netflix. What was that?
Yeah, so it was a series called She's Got a Habit by Spike Lee. And he was requesting independent submissions from independent artists. And at the time, I was just promoting an album we had just put out called Flow Flexing. And I had one song called Low Key, Low Key. And I knew the song was special. So I just would submit it to blogs. I would just spend, 3 to 4 hours, I think, for about 2 weeks every day, submitting it to different platforms. And that was one of the things I submitted to. And he liked the song. And he asked if he could license it and invited us to meet him in New York. And I think that was a good experience because, sometimes when people outside of your community who have performed in their field in legendary ways say, hey, this has value, this is good, this is exceptional, that can fuel you more than a lot of other things. So it gave us confidence. It gave us a different type of energy to believe in ourselves. And then it gave us access to news outlets and things back home that we previously didn't have. But when something like that happens to an Indianapolis hip hop artist, they take note. So then you get to develop relationships and build social capital in ways that I just didn't have access to previously. And that I could use that and give access to the community and the relationships I was building.
Okay. You want to jump in or want me to go? I have a couple more.
I want to know, I'll link along with some, we might be going this direction, I'm so sorry. But like long term, when you think ahead, when you think of fast forward in your life, or when you think scaling up and growing bigger in your life, what can you describe some of those goals for yourself? What is that really going to be like? What is the ideal?
Yeah, I think the one thing that's always present in my mind is if I am actively participating in the art, I want my portfolio, I want my body of work to show a trajectory of progress and growth continually. So I think, when I get done, I'll feel extremely well if someone can, look at my catalog and see the growth of an artist and the growth of a human. throughout that experience. I think that's first and foremost. So if I, sometimes I go through lulls while I'm not feeling the art form, or I'm not feeling that I have something to say. But when I do, I definitely try to do it at a higher level in a new way, because you're not who you previously were. So you should try to communicate that through the art form. So I'll say that's one piece. I think another piece is that a lot of in my music is about changing worldviews, changing value systems, challenging status quo, but also focusing more on empowerment, what we can do, what we can create, what is within our ability to make possible. So creating a soundtrack with that being the theme, and having people in community hear it, receive it, and finding it of value and implementing some of those pieces is the ultimate goal. And then another piece is that, of course, being able to use your passion to leverage opportunities for community and self continually, and learning how to do that better and in different environments and contexts. Is probably how I'm.
Okay.
Wow, I had a question.
Go for it.
All right. So the summer has been, or this year has been interesting. So how was your creative flow? How's that changed over the course of this past year?
I'm in a great creative flow right now. So I would say the beginning of the year, probably before the beginning of the year, probably about a year, maybe a year and a half, I had not been feeling as if I had anything new to say. And for me, I don't like repeating myself, even though we do it all the time and you have to. But artistically, I don't want to listen to a project and feel as if this is the same design that I did before, but maybe a new tweak here and there. So the thing is just, you got to be patient. So I had, tell myself to be patient and let life tell me when it's time to streamline art. Because a lot of times you're the vehicle, you're the vessel, and it's flowing through you. But sometimes you want it to flow through you, and it just ain't time. So I think with COVID, being able to sit still, I can record or write in between meetings because I don't have to move around. The type of work I do previously to COVID, you have to sometimes move around, and when you're there to serve. So you might not have a pocket of time to record something whenever you get inspired. So now it's like if my creative engine and energy is on, nothing really stops me or prevents me from capturing that energy. But I will say throughout that entire period, even though I didn't feel like I had anything to say, I continued to produce and make beats. One, to sharpen the skill set, repetition, and then prepare for when the energy struck.
Beautiful. So you and I really don't know each other super well. So this is like a fun process to get to know you better. Diop, actually, I think that my first introduction to you was through like a really interesting meetup that the IAC put together purely to learn like what emerging creatives need. And that was like anybody under 30 basically at the time.
Yeah.
And you were part of that. And that actually like eventually formed what we learned from that eventually formed one of our like key programs right now, which is On-Ramp. That's really cool. I don't know if you knew that, but
no, I didn't.
Yeah, so there are a lot of people on this call right now who have been part of On-Ramp and who really like found a lot of love and special things in there. And you're like for sure to thank for that. I don't know if you know
That's
that.
phenomenal.
Yeah. And Diop isn't, I mean, like I would say from what I observe of you, you're an entrepreneur. And you are also, I threw a link in the chat. Some of you out there are not familiar with Kepra Institute and its role in the Indianapolis area, but Kepra Institute is hard to define, but really easy to see. Like it shows up in a lot of places, in food justice and supporting creatives and housing affordability. And also like is very ephemeral in a lot of ways. Like it exists on a porch and also in a church and is in the hearts of people kind of sometimes ultimately.
I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
I hope I got that right. That's my own observation of that. So I guess my question to you, so you and I know each other just a little bit. You've gotten grants from us before from the Indiana Arts Commission. We've just kind of like been getting to know each other slowly, but we hung out last night with Maurice. You and I hung out on the porch, classic, just to kind of plan for tonight. And something you said, I want to ask you more to talk about. You said something along the lines of like, yeah, I just am not really, I'm not really living like other people. I'm just not really doing things like that. We were talking about like money. How do you earn money? How do you like support your creative life? And like that phrase stuck with me. What do you feel like is different about the way that you are looking at the world and going about doing your creative work, doing your community work, doing the Diop work, and receiving what you need to out of that? Like, what's the most different thing about you from what you can see so far?
Got you. Well, I would say, one, I just focus on who I know, the relationships I value. I think that's first and foremost. And that kind of dictates everything else. Because like as a creative, what you're expressing is grounded in the experiences you're having, which are shaped around your relationships. So the thing I'm transmitting is really co-created by everyone and everything I'm around. So after that's transmitted, then, watch that after that. In order to put that out, it's still tied to those same individuals, those same communities. So I kind of like think about, all right, this is what I want to do creatively. How can I do that? But how can I make sure that it incorporates the visions, the aspirations, the desires, and the growth of other people? And then that kind of shapes the process. And I'm not sure if it's different than, others, but I don't feel like it's a dominant way of looking at how to move a project forward. A lot of times people, prioritize outcome over some of the people, some of the relationships being developed throughout the process, or they focus on how much money they feel they need to execute something.
Or to live the life they want.
Yeah, the life they want, So for me, like the way in which I live is by choice. How I'm living, this is an intentional choice because, I have all of the belief in the world that however I want to live, I can live that way. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I can manifest that. Mm-hmm. But, the values I have, the perspective I have me where I am. And creating the way in which I am, and enjoying that process. And of course, we can all spend time on if this, if that, if I had, if I could. But that's a rabbit hole within itself that's fueled by some things that are not even important. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I just try to always recenter myself to what's important to me. What can I actively do now, grounded in what's important to me?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Sometimes you can move something forward, but it's important to move it forward in alignment with what's real, what's true to you.
Hmm.
Because if you don't do that, then what's the point?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I guess did I answer your question?
Yeah. Can I reflect something back to you?
Yes, you can. You do whatever you feel.
Like I said, we don't know each other super well, but one thing I observe from you is that, and like, I guess I can only say, yeah, only in my experience with you so far and in the words I've heard from you, like one thing that's different about you is that money and like the currency of it isn't part of that reality the same way that other people think about it.
Correct.
So we got you here tonight for like one of many reasons, but one of them might have been that the way that we talked about this session and what Diop was going to share was about money and its reality or not, or place in our lives or not, and maybe this idea of scarcity and abundance. So go with me here, will you?
Mm-hmm.
Let's list out some of the things. What do you need to do? Like, what do you need to live the life that you want?
Okay.
Let's try it. Let's list it out.
Love, support, accountability, engagement, healthy experiences.
Okay.
And I don't have a word, but things that stretch you, strength pushes you. So those are the things I would say that I need internally. Of course, I need, the basics of, it's cold outside, so clothing, shelter, transportation, the things that, we all should have access to. But generally, I start with the things that I would need communally to continue to be who I am and to continually help others to be the best they can be.
Yeah. Do you believe in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, in terms of like, well, bust it down.
Okay, sure. And I'll like Google it too. So I'm no expert in this, but Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? It's this like motivational theory that there are tiers of human needs. And so like at the bottom of it, let's see, the 5 levels are, I'm Googling this as I explain it to you. It's okay. We'll just sum it up, but like basic psychological, and if you know the answers, throw them in the chat right now, but basic psychological needs. Then there's like physical safety needs, the needs for love and belonging, the needs for self-esteem, and the needs for self-actualization. And I believe, call me out if I'm wrong, that like the theory is, like the baseline of psychological needs is like most base important before you can then accomplish your needs of safety. And then before you can accomplish your needs of love and belonging, you kind of have to have those first two.
Got you. So the categories I like, but I'm not sure if it's directional in that way. So I don't know if it's, a lot of times we have this thing that we want to like make things sequential, but sometimes things can be happening at the same time or needed at the same time. So everything doesn't happen in this isolated sequential step. So that would be my only piece with that framework.
And it might be even critiqued in that way. Also, that like it doesn't have to be in order. I'm not an expert on this stuff. I just took this in there because Corrections Corner, it's physiological needs, not psychological needs. So like food, rest, shelter, and things like that. Okay, so we just listed out some of those like inputs of like what you personally need in order to live the life that you want. Where do you need cash or currency, and where do you not?
Yeah, so I need cash and currency. First, I'll say the reason I need cash and currency is because it's a tool that we have collectively decided it has value and how it has value. So that's why I have to use it, period. All right. So, good.
Yes, and yes, you said something interesting there.
Okay, so that's the one thing. So I need cash. I mean, I got a light bill. I think last night I said property taxes is coming up. So there are these things that I have to, I shouldn't say I have to. There are things that I'm choosing to adhere to because it strategically allows me to move forward. But I also keep in mind that capital, financial capital, just like other capitals, is accessed a lot of times through relationships. Now, sometimes people can focus on, I need to go make money, and they'll make decisions grounded in just that. But you can make relationships, and those relationships are supposed to do what? They're supposed to figure out how to help each other. So if we living in this system that says this has to have value in order to get these things done, then those relationships are going to make sure that happens if they strong, healthy relationships.
Yeah.
So if you focus on that, all of that stuff will take care of itself, and it won't place this fake value system on self and community.
So in what ways are you deciding, and you, I don't know, I mean, maybe you're deciding it, maybe it's just happening this way, but like, in what ways are you deciding not to participate in our economy?
It's a good question. All right, I'll tell you one thing. I don't really get down with the whole Black Friday or with the whole, I don't really, when I see that, I think it's capitalistic hurting. And you see these crazy videos of people doing all kind of crazy stuff to consume.
Right.
So I don't really participate in things like that because I think it kind of degrades our sense of connection to each other. We prioritize the medium over the true relationship. So that's one thing I'll say I don't participate in. I prefer to find communal approaches to acquiring what we need.
Example?
Car sharing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my name could be on the title. Your name could be on the title. Somebody else's name could be on the title. But the ownership is when you need to access it. That's when it is. Now, sometimes, yeah, it feels good that, oh, I was able to go out and finally afford this thing. You know, that probably, releases some serotonin. But in terms of when do you really have ownership of something, it should really be when you need to access it. Nothing more, nothing less. So I think that's a different way of tapping in to. So I guess my answer would be is the way in which I have been raised and how I interact and relate with resources is different than what this dominant economy preaches and practices.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can say more if I need to say more.
Well, let's hear more. Can you give us more examples where you see that difference?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, and so a lot of people don't necessarily participate in shared housing. But it's nothing new. It has been done. Has it been popularized? Has it been sold as something that projects progress? For some people, it's not. They say, oh, no. If you need to live with someone, if y'all need to share housing, then you're a failure.
Right.
Then you're moving backwards. That's some BS.
Yes.
If you and your people can leverage resources and use them to strengthen your relationships, that's most important, period. And that's progress. So I've lived like that. I was raised like that. I still live like that. And it ain't without a cost. You know what I mean? Being communal requires a lot of adaptiveness, flexibility, vulnerability, and selflessness at a high degree than a lot of what this dominant culture prepares us for. But once you get there, it truly is rewarding because then you can reassess what is truly important.
So how does that impact your art?
I think my art is a reflection of my beliefs. So my art is just painting in that particular form what I feel, what I believe, and what I feel our desired future state should be. And those fellow travelers in life that either already understand that or are on the edge or are vibrating towards that, it's for them. And it's for them to decide how and where to that type of energy. So, you know, the philosophy fuels the art, and then hopefully the art can fuel change. And then through that change, it impacts the philosophy. So it's a cyclical process.
This is a lot to process. I'm going to kick you into some breakout rooms to kind of process together. Okay. I think these are going to be the same ones that you were just in, to introduce yourself. And if you missed that part of it, then you're going to get to meet some new people. But here's some things I want you to focus on, to talk about together. What is it that you need to live the life you want? And where do you need cash or currency, or where do you not? So I'll put that in the chat as well, but what do you need to live the life that you want? And where do you need cash or currency? Where do you not? And then we'll come back together. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. We'll come back together and we're going to keep unpacking some more of this, especially about developing that habit or that mindset that we're talking about. Okay. See ya in the breakout rooms. Hey, y'all.
That was really short.
It was. Keep the conversation going on Facebook. We got a lot more we want to hear though from Diop. Maurice, I think you have a question.
Yeah. So I'm thinking through a lot of the underpinnings of both Capra and Cafe Creatives and how we practice our art, and not just our art, but how we practice the business of art in a lot of ways, is this whole idea of community wealth building. It's not a matter of, I'm going to do this or what's in it for me? How can I get ahead? What are my sales? What are my views? What are my? There's this whole idea of community wealth building. So can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, first thing I say is it's an intention. So I think everything you do can potentially be about community wealth building. So I'll first start with that. But I guess first I should define community wealth. So when I think of community wealth, I think of a lot of different pieces, but it's really what is needed for a person in a community to be healthy and whole. So I think about education. I think about healthy environment, water, air, quality. I think about housing, access to quality housing. I think about health and wellness, food, physical activities. I think about art and culture, things that the soul needs. I think about, I'll say, it's the ability to create opportunities. And also decision making, communal decision making, and processes to protect all of those systems and the people in those systems. But what makes it community wealth is if the community can have influence and impact those systems. That's what makes it wealthy, because then they can project their collective vision on those systems, and then those systems reinforce that vision. And I think that's what we should be working towards and trying to figure out. And I think that's what will truly make us wealthy.
So community wealth is is power to control those systems, of value, maybe even?
So I think when people are interacting, you want to have a understanding of how to create for each other. And, you know, a lot of times it's a medium, and we agree that a medium of exchange allows us to do that. But you have to have that to some degree, ability for people to connect, relate, and create opportunities for each other. And then how in which you do that should be defined by the community.
Okay, I'm gonna do something a little bit, I don't even know how I feel about this, but let's think about creatives as a community. We have a lot of shared needs for sure. In what ways can you imagine like creatives building their own community wealth together to impact systems that are important to their well-being? Do you have any examples on top of your mind?
Yeah, so for example, me and Mandog have ran multiple studios together in basements. I ran one in my basement, and when we did it, everyone had a key. So everyone had access, and then we learned how to pick up on each other's creative rhythms so we can all create. We can all use that space. We can invite each other's relationships into that space. So I think artists have examples of doing that, especially artists here in Indiana, in Indianapolis, because we don't have a lot of money pouring into artistic endeavors if we're comparing it to other cities. But what we do have is great artists who can build great relationships. And then you just learn how to share resources, share space. I think the next, step in that process is then how do they also not only create together, but leverage together? I think that's the next piece.
What's that mean?
So how do artists decide they're going to create a project that can go and leverage not just a grant for an individual artist, a grant for a collective of artists, or for a piece of a community? So it's about using their collective intelligence and social capital to leverage spaces and platforms that create that absence.
So
I should say that feel that absence.
Right. So it wouldn't be like me going out and leveraging, saying, hey, I have this opportunity. It'd be me going out and saying, hey, there's an opportunity for us. It
can be both.
Okay.
I could find a grant, and that grant is $20,000, and I apply for it as my project. But what I do with those resources dictate whether or not it was leveraged for community or not. So that's one way. The other way is the artists find ways in which to create strategies to leverage larger accesses of capital. And that could really be relationships.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if you get multiple people on a project, especially artists that have been in the field for a long period of time, there's one thing they've done. They've developed a lot of relationships.
Yes.
And those relationships are going to ride for those artists they believe in. So if it's a project that can clearly and eloquently state what its mission is, then those artists have access to all of those different relationships, therefore different opportunities and possibilities. You can do the same thing with the funds, because funds is manifested through relationships. It's the same piece. So I think it's just about, and this is not just for art, it's about people, period, starting to hunt together, collaborate in a coordinated way that leverages what was not possibly seen before, because the way in which a lot of the opportunities are structured, it can come off as individual listening.
This is starting to sound like, this reminds me of Maurice's conversation last week too. If you were on last week's ReGroup, you remember Maurice's matrix for opportunities, which is like for him, a series of questions that helps him. Well, I'm explaining your tool, but.
Well, it's a tool I actually developed with Capra. So it's a tool of managing opportunities and allowing community to speak into, the opportunities that pop up.
Right.
So,
and one of the questions in this list of questions that helps you decide whether to take on a project or not is like, does it benefit other artists in my community, right? Does it benefit?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Which is, okay, you have taken this idea about resources, money, cash, currency, relationships, time, access to power, and you've built it into a system for yourself that when things come up for you, because you are hitting the pavement, you are creating opportunities for yourself and they're going to come in.
Yeah.
And when they do, you have the system for sorting them that actualizes a mindset, actualizes a reality, right? Tell me more about, we started to talk a little bit more about like this abundance mindset versus the scarcity mindset. Can you describe that a little bit more?
Yeah, I think, well, if you feel you have the ability to manifest what you need and, a reality that you feel agrees with your spirit, then abundance is tied to your, creative energy. So nothing is out of reach. It's just, it's all about what you put into it, your intention, your rituals, your behaviors, your patterns, and doing that collectively. So that's about abundance. Scarcity, scarcity probably does exist. I'm not going to say it doesn't exist, but the reason I say that, for me, it always has seemed to be manufactured. It seems as if, capitalism, the world we live in, that we're dominated by, not to live in that world, you have a choice, uses scarcity or the idea of scarcity to fuel the reliance on that system. But if you have the ability to grow the things that nurture you, whether that be food, whether that be experiences, whether that be relationships, then you have all the abundance you need in the world. And it's just about making a commitment to do those things every day with each other, no matter how hard it is. So.
You talk a lot about manifestation, which is familiar to a lot of people as a kind of a worldview and very foreign to a lot of other people, just about like, just make something happen. Okay, cool. That'd be great. But what does that really look like to you when you're a mentor? You have these conversations with creatives, if not community members, all the time about scarcity, about abundance. How do you have that conversation? How do you start inviting people to shift a mindset, to start observing where abundance exists? And is that manifestation itself to teach your brain to see things differently?
Yeah.
Tell me more about what manifestation really is. And you can explain like I'm 5.
Yeah. Okay. So, I guess on the basic level, if you made macaroni and cheese, you've made something manifest. Now, was it good or not? That's depending on who you served it up to and where you are with your whip game. But what I'll say is the first thing that's important is to start and to use the act of creating something as the classroom. So if you're going to talk about manifest, if you're going to talk about bringing something into being, then start with actually having a project that is going to create something. And then through that project, you try to help each other see along the line the pieces that are manifesting. And then also we have to take into consideration, we are never authoring by ourselves. That's another thing I think sometimes humans get a little bogged down about. Like it ends and begins with me. No. It's flowing through me. Sometimes we have thoughts, we have ideas. We don't know where they came from, but they came to us and we feel compelled to act on it. Well, where they came from is helping you act on it. is believing in your belief. So I think it's important to start. It's important to believe. It's important to help each other believe. And then along the line, you help people see the wins in that manifest process. But I think what I found critical is you have to develop rituals, patterns of behavior, and you have to be disciplined or develop discipline with those rituals. If you want to get great at anything, you have to decide you're going to create the muscles needed to do it. It don't happen overnight, but you look up and people think, oh, how can he swim like that? How can she sing like that? How can they build that? It's because they set an intention to do it. And then throughout the process, they did it. So if you can hold people accountable, if you can walk alongside people. And I think another thing that's important too with manifestation is a lot of times we focus on our inadequacies.
I need to manifest this because I need something. I'm trying to manifest something that doesn't exist yet.
That's one way of looking at it. Some people do start with, I need to manifest because the absence of.
Okay.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing if it's something that's neat, but you should also manifest grounded in not necessarily an absence, but just what you feel you want to manifest. So it doesn't always have to be in reaction. It can be projection. But what I was saying, inadequacy, some people focus on, I don't do this well, or I don't do that well. That's okay. It's great that you know that. Who does it well?
Yeah.
And then y'all can manifest together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So manifest is just to bring something into being. And you just do that by developing disciplined habits, continually learning, and then also having that belief that you are not writing this script alone.
Yeah. Yes. You said something to me last night about when I asked you a similar question, and you said one of the really important things about like developing this muscle is to have that mentor that can reflect back to you what it is that you're attracting to yourself. So like something else that you said when we were talking about value, how do I sustain my life without people valuing what I'm doing or creating? One of the ways that you flipped that back for me was you do what you value. The more that you demonstrate what you value, you're going to attract those kind of people to yourself.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing, connecting that back to like if you have a mentor or somebody else in your life who's at least keen enough to see you, they can help you reflect back what it is that you are attracting to yourself, whether that's money or people to help fill things that you need to live the life that you want, or love or self-actualization.
Mm-hmm. And the same is true for the mentor, because the environment sees what the mentor is doing for those trying to learn that experience. And what does it do? It sends more people for that experience. So, you know, it works all around.
Okay, we're gonna go back to breakout rooms for another few minutes. I know we're getting close to the end of our time together, but this is a lot to process together. Now we're talking manifestation. We're talking about
community wealth building,
right? So I'm gonna put a couple questions in the chat. You can feel free to share them with your breakout group. You can feel free to take this time to reflect for yourself. You don't have to answer both of them in your group, but allow these thoughts to at least just start moving around inside you. So first, how do you attract what you need to yourself? And secondly, where does that scarcity reality or that scarcity mindset show up strongest in your life? Where is it rearing and roaring itself in your life? Okay, breakout rooms for another 5 minutes, and then we will come back, maybe listen to some more music, and the world will be, all settled, and we will have figured everything out. Well, let's keep talking. I would encourage you to go to the Facebook group or message each other and keep this conversation going. This is good. This is meant to keep sowing, like planting seeds that will have to be nurtured in order to find kind of some of the clarity that maybe you're craving right now. So it is 8:30 and Maurice has some parting homework.
Right. Well, actually, so last week we asked the question, well, actually you asked me the question to describe my attitude towards how I approach COVID in one word.
Yeah.
And so I like this whole one word exercise.
Okay.
And so I'm going to try and describe, if after listening to all of what Diop had to say today, if I could describe him in one word, what would that word be? That word is free. How would you react to that?
I would say that's the goal, day in and day out. You ain't trying to be free. We're just not on the same wavelength. So yeah, I would agree with that.
All right. So then my homework assignment then would be, what does freedom look like to each of you? What does it look like? How do you get there?
Well, I'm gonna leave that question for you and play some music, some outro music for you. This is another one of Diop's songs. I admit, this is music video. So stick around if you'd like to listen to this music.
And thank you, Diop, for coming and being a part of this discussion.
Appreciate it. It was great questions. I feel like it was a really good conversation, or interview, I should say.
Thank you, Diop.
Well, thank you.
If you have questions for Diop, feel free to stick around while we're playing music and send them in the chat. And since we're over time, then we'll go ahead and maybe we'll just post some of the answers to that question on Facebook or record his response to that, if that's okay with you. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to vote. And if you live in Indianapolis, check out indieVoteTimes.org, I believe, for live estimates of how long it's going to take you to vote early. We will not be back next week. We have a week off next week. We'll be back on November 10th. With that, feel free to throw your questions in the chat. Thank you so much to our captioner, Anthony. Here's I admit.
They gon' know my name now. They hate on my name now. It's just too much hate now. Yeah. My mama told me that I'm the great. I gotta go on and lead the way. I see these children that imitate. I use the pen and pad, you should do the math. Cause you know I'm on the way. I know enemies that want me gonna stay. But do what you gotta do. I see the faults in all they grooves. I do not think that they had the moves. This is the life that I had to choose. Cause I'm like JP when it come to this. You know that I am the one with this. I admit. I'm the shit sitting right here. We not new to this. New to this. I admit. We did. I admit. You the shit in right here, we not new to this. New to this. I admit. Shit. Legends of the fall, don't wanna see you die. Don't wanna have to dress up and go see your mama cry. Don't wanna go to the river to find the water dry. I don't wanna get that phone call. Chasing a dragon, been killing many men. Don't wanna see you acting like you ain't got any friends. Don't race to keep up with trends, my friend. There's more to write, don't close the book, my dog, this ain't the end. Think about your baby, bro, you got a daughter. Natalie loves you, dog, she need a father. And I ain't even get a chance to meet her yet. I'ma come see your family, ain't no need to stress. I know you drew some bad cards in this lifetime, but you're not alone, dog, yeah. I know you want to escape and try to find a better place, but the place right here, the place right here. I'ma keep the pace and I'ma face my fears. I'ma think about you in this space right here. Window painted lady when it graced my ears. Remember what I said on the phone when you called telling me that you was leaving this life. Season prefix till I hop on the plane and come see you. I'm leaving tonight. I admit, you this right here, we not do this. Know that it's, know that it's, know that it's. I admit, we did. I admit, you the girl, we not do this. Know that it's, know that it's, know that it's. I admit.
Ooh, child, when it's cold outside and you can see the light, just look inside. Ooh, child, you're the brightest star deep in your heart. You know love's where you start. Love is where you start.
Standing right here, we not do this. Know that it's, know that it's, know that it's. I admit. You we not do this. Know that it's, know that it's, know that it's. I admit.
Lisa says, Diop, thank you so much. One of the best conversations I've had this year. Truly vital. The world's changing, needs to change, as we have seen so clearly this past year. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that.
And apparently everyone wants to be friends with Mimi, so there's that.
Oh, thank you. Are we still?
Maurice, I want to be friends with you.
No, it's too little, too late.